Camped outside the walls of Momum, the Mandate Sorcerer, Drusas Achamian, finds himself sitting across the fire from Anasarimbor Kellis, an ancient name intertwined with his very being. In the dreams shared with his school's long-dead founder, Achamian has held Kellis's dying forebear in his arms countless times. I know this man, he thinks. The resemblance is unmistakable. The furrow between the brows, the long hollow of the cheeks, the deep-set eyes. The sorcerer finds it disturbingly easy to speak with the Prince of Atrathau, but he still harbors suspicions. Extremely remote, Atrathau is a city all but forgotten in the Three Seas. Achamian's school knows nothing of the goings-on in that distant land. The darkness of ignorance conceals the strange man's origins. The Mandate School has long dreaded the appearance of an Anasarimbor heir. He is prophesied to return at the end of the world, a harbinger of the second apocalypse. Not unlike the Mandati, Kellis claims to be ruled by dreams. Though he cannot explain it, someone or something has contacted him, urging him through dreams to join the Holy War. Or so he says. Easily reading the uncertainty in the sorcerer's expression, Kellis presses his advantage and makes a proposal. You're a teacher, and I'm an ignorant stranger in a bewildering land. Would you consent to teach me? His soul assailed by 100 unanswered questions, Achamian finds himself unable to refuse. I would consider myself fortunate, Kellis, to count an Anasarimbor among my students. As the fire dies down, the sorcerer heads to his tent to rest. Inevitably, he is plagued by familiar dreams. The disastrous battle on the fields of Eleniot, the dying words of High King Kelmomis II, one of my seed will return, Seswatha, and Anasarimbor will return, at the end of the world. Achamian stirs, trembling with fear at the prospect of a second apocalypse. The no-god, the death of birth, whole nations falling to the fury of the Shrunk. For the first time in a long while, he prays fervently, prays that he is wrong, that he will not live to see the world's ending. He lights a candle and scrawls Anasarimbor Kellis across parchment, adding the name to his map of assorted factions and conspiracies, wondering where this remarkable man might fit. Outside in the darkness, the Dunyain is still awake. Having cast his nets, he waits patiently to see what they might yield. Nayur Urs Sciotha finds his new Enrithi comrades despicable, posturing aristocrats, playing word games, proud men wagging proud tongues, fatuous claims, false concessions, mocking praise, flattering insults, and an endless train of satiric innuendos. Non, they called it, the cultured discourse of the caste noble. The Sylvendi leaves the fire of Prince Nirsai Proyas and walks the slumbering encampment alone, wondering at the circumstance that has brought him here, among Enrithi dogs, among men who have sold their souls into bondage, among the cattle. From the darkness, he spies on Kellis conversing with the sorcerer, Drusas Achamian. Serway is at the Dunyain's side, resting. The sight of her head upon Kellis's thigh fills Nayur with unmanly dread. She is his prize, his only proof against the Dunyain. Perhaps he should take her, steal away in the dead of night, make her understand who Kellis really is. But no, he decides, she is nothing. And Nayur would safeguard the truth of Kellis and his kind, how they will say anything, do anything, to bend the world to their very purpose. His vengeance depended upon this. Once Serway and the sorcerer have departed, Nayur faces Kellis over the dying embers of the campfire. Ever since being bested by him at the mountain pass, the Sylvendi is strangely hesitant in the Dunyain's presence. He demands to know what Kellis's intentions are, Why befuddle and befriend the Mandate Sorcerer? How does that bring them closer to Moingus, to vengeance? The Dunyain explains that his father has summoned him to Shimei, the seat of the Shisharam, Phantom's equivalent to sorcerers. And to defeat a sorcerer, what better tool than another sorcerer? To avoid thinking about all the similarities between the Dunyain and his father, Nair scoffs. Mandate schoolmen do not reveal the secrets of their practice to anyone. If you wish to learn sorcery, you are wasting your time. I know, Kellis replies. He told me of the Gnosis. As Nair retreats from the Dunyain's presence, looking for refuge in the tent he shares with Serway, Kellis calls after him. 30 years. Moingus has dwelt among these men for 30 years. He'll have great power, more than either of us could hope to overcome. I need more than sorcery. I need a nation. The next morning, Achamian sips tea with his longtime friend, Kryjates Zinimus. The schoolman is conflicted. He knows that he should tell the mandate of Anasedimborg Kellis. The Kelmomian prophecy could be on the verge of coming true. The second apocalypse could be about to begin. And yet, something keeps him from doing so. He has sacrificed one student to his school's misgivings and apprehensions. Must he now give up another? The skeptic inside him speaks up, insisting that the name Anasedimborg simply must be a coincidence. There is, as of yet, no supporting evidence of the apocalyptic threat. As Achamian and Zinimus discuss the new arrivals, a disturbance in the camp catches their attention. Crimson-clad soldiers push their way through the crowd, in formation around a mahogany palanquin, borne by slaves. A standard comes into view, three-headed serpent below the Anani pictogram for truth. The Scarlet Spires, the very school Achamian was spying on not so long ago, now seek to make his acquaintance. The pious men-at-arms find the presence of the sorcerer's entourage in affront. With every instant, the unrest threatens to grow into riotous violence. Hanamanu Eleazaris, Grandmaster of the Scarlet Spires, disembarks the palanquin in Zinimus's camp, seemingly disinterested in the gawking throngs at his back. "Unclean wretches," shouts someone. Plates and stones fly toward the two sorcerers. "You must excuse the company I happen to be keeping," Eleazaris says, pointing at the mob. "Spectacle is ever the narcotic, I am afraid." "As are contradictions," Achamian replies. "Clever man, clever little man. Tell me, Drusas Achamian, how is it that after all these years you still find yourself in the field? Did you offend someone? Not Zera, perhaps?" "What do you want, Eleazaris?" "To make your acquaintance. I needed to meet the man who has utterly overturned my impression of the Mandate. To think I once thought yours the gentlest of schools." Achamian realizes that the Scarlet Spires must have discovered his spy, Geshruni, but it soon becomes obvious that it was the spy's corpse they found. Eleazaris appears convinced that it was Achamian who murdered the man. He laughs incredulously at the preposterous claim. "It wasn't so much that you killed him that troubled us. No, it was the manner. Someone plays you for a fool, Grandmaster. Someone plays us both." Eleazaris ponders the Mandati for a moment. "My master of spies has warned me of this. He insisted that you were mad. Only madmen and historians, he said, believe their own lies. First I'm a murderer, and now I'm a madman. Indeed," Eleazaris spits. "Who else collects faces?" The mass of riotous Enrithi press through the impromptu perimeter that Zinimus has established, threatening to overwhelm the two sorcerers. Eleazaris is on the verge of uttering a cant that would burn them all to cinders. Political fallout be damned. But it is the Mandati's voice that stops him from taking this disastrous course. "Don't do it, Eleazaris," cries Achamian as the mob surges. "Think of your war, against the Shisharam, but there was a threat in the slovenly man's voice as well. I won't let you do it. I'll stop you, and you know I can. To avoid bloodshed, the sorcerers are whisked away, one by Zenimus's men, and the other by his own slave soldiers. The next day, in his rented villa, the Scarlet Spires Grandmaster ponders his meeting with the Mandate. Only his Master of Spies accompanies him, Heramari Iokis, a fellow sorcerer and longtime ally. Think of your war against the Sisharam, the Mandate had said. In truth, Eleazaris could think of little else, vengeance and the violence that provoked it. 10 years ago, in the Scarlet Spires Council Chamber, the Sisharam struck with terrifying ease. 3 blind men simply winked into existence, undetected by any wards, a flood of blue light spilling from their foreheads. Eleazaris survived by pure happenstance. He even managed to strike down the assailants with his dragon fire, but it was too late. Sashioka, their grandmaster at the time, was a sizzling ruin. The handful of survivors stumbled about in a daze, silently asking, how could they have done this? Years later, the Holy Shrya would dangle before them a chance at vengeance, and the Scarlet Spires could not but seize what was offered. Today, Eleazaris and Iokis discuss the situation in Sumna, where the last of their spies had been discovered and eliminated. Maithanet, it seems, has made the 1,000 temples impervious to them. They discuss the imperial court, where Akirai Confus has received a private message from the Phantom. What games does the Emperor's nephew play with the old heathen Sapadishah? They discuss reports from Karathuzal back home, where they have established that at least one other faceless corpse was found 5 years ago. Was this the work of the Mandate, some dark and secret game that they played? The Scarlet Spires march to war half-blind, the circumstances surrounding it a mystery. I have delivered the greatest school in the 3 seas to its greatest peril, thinks Eleazaris. But their need is pressing. The Shisharam must be made to pay for their crimes, for assassinating his predecessor. And yet, to know so little, what does all this mean, Iokis? It means we must have faith, says the Chanv addict, with an air of shoulder-shrugging fatalism. Faith in someone we don't know? That's why it's faith. Then we must redouble our efforts. I agree. Faith is intolerable. In the imperial bedchambers, Ikirai Xerius III stares, dumbfounded at his eldest counselor. He'd walked in, bearing devastating news, as slaves were preparing the Emperor for the night's rest. Could you repeat what you just said, dear Skios? I fear I misheard you. The old man explains that Nirsai Proyas has found a replacement for Confus, a man who has warred against the Phantom and is willing to lead the Holy War in the Imperial nephew's stead. A Sylvendi barbarian. Outrage. Impertinent, overweening Conrian dog. Proyas. Was there ever a more grasping man alive? Thieving, black-hearted wretch. Skios seeks to appease his emperor, explaining that the latest provocation is nothing but an ill-considered jest. A Sylvendi, god of men, leading a holy war? This is unlikely to interfere with our purpose. Our purpose, Skios? Xerius studies the simpering old fool before him. Skios was a perfect marriage of subservience and intellect, he'd always thought. And yet, lately, he seemed more prideful than usual, issuing advice which sounded suspiciously like orders to his emperor. Have you heard it said that cats look down upon man, and dogs look up, but only a pig dare look man straight in the eye? Yes, god of men. Pretend that you are a pig, Skios. The aged face slowly turns and lifts, briefly glimpsing at the Emperor's eyes before turning back to the floor. In that instant, Xerius saw secret passions rolling through the old man's soul, passions that one of his high station struggled to comprehend. You tremble, Skios. That is good.